And we are living and breathing an era now that intelligence is artificial. It's there. There's so many things happening with intelligence. Is it being used to the common good? So many intelligent people can do so many things, but through ignorance, they might decide to go into a different direction. Is that okay? Yeah, it's a decision of each one of us. Will we have good consequences? Probably not. And we'll need to come back and learn again and how to better use that intelligence. And the key manager or the CEO of this office that is our mind is our will or willingness to really direct the same way we direct our intelligence, the same way that we direct our speech. If you're talking, if you're helping someone, if you're here in the Spiritist Center, how are we using that speech? To console, to alleviate, or to punish, or to make people feel guilt or something else? It's everything in our intention. So we have this commandment, right? To love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. It's known as the greatest commandment in the Christian faith. So in this commandment, the invitation is for us to love God. How do we love God? What is the practical and more tangible way for us to love God?
To love one another.
Love one another and
Charity.
Charity. This is all part of something. What are the guidelines for us to be happy?
Divine law.
The divine laws. The way for us to love God is practicing, being aware of our divine laws, of the God's divine laws, and develop the virtues and practice it, right? So what is the relationship if we're saying that we need to love the divine laws, and then with our mind, with our soul, with our heart, what is the relationship with money, with that?
Money is the creation of God. And so it's, like you said before, it's a tool, it's a resource that we can put to good use if we use it in contemplation of what would be appropriate based on the divine laws. And if we abandon the divine laws, and then we'll do whatever we want with the money, but it's likely that we'll deal with that money in a way that's not in keeping with the divine laws.
Yeah. And also a good utilization of the resources. If I know, I understand with my mind, that's the knowledge side of it, right? If I understand with my mind, okay, this is the divine laws, justice, charity, and love. What the resources that I'm having that is in good use? Am I making the good use of the resources that I have in order to do something good? So and there's no formula, right? Oh, you should have X amount of money and give X amount of money to this or that. No. Each one of us has their own conscience. And each one of us will judge. We are our own judges. We'll judge what are we doing. And also, if we decide to replace God with money or material wealth, we will assess that I'm cherishing, I'm loving something that it's not supposed to love. It's supposed for me to act in a good way, but the love is to God, not to the material thing. So we are replacing, right? Or even we can replace power, or we can replace with so many things. If we replace this love of God with something else, I invite everyone to kind of reassess and see if that's the direction that we are guided to go.
And it's interesting to see this relationship we still have with money, because we do have examples of people who are very rich, even millionaires, and they're not happy. And
Exactly.
some of them, they take their own lives because of money.
Yeah.
Because either money didn't bring that happiness they were expecting, or because they lost a lot of money as well.
Exactly. And then we can even ask a question. What is wealth? O que é riqueza? What is wealth? Economically, that's about money. But if we transcend and think higher, wealth there's a different meaning, right? So the spirits, Kardec talks about it, right? In the Gospel according to Spiritism, in chapter 16. Oh, that's not this one. And also in the book of the Spirit's book, Kardec also mentions about wealth, richness, and poverty. But there is a chapter here, chapter 16, and it's entitled The Providential Usefulness of Riches, the Trials of Riches and Poverty. And I just want to read just the beginning of item number 7. And it says, if wealth were an insuperable obstacle to the salvation of those who possess it, as might be inferred from certain words of Jesus interpreted literally and not according to their spirits, then God, who grants riches, would have put in the hands of some an instrument of irrevocable perdition, a thought that's repugnant to reason. So in summary, if wealth was something is just to destroy, God would be bad. Because God is giving the wealth to someone that will fail. So it doesn't make sense. So the spirits continue. Undoubtedly, wealth is a very slippery trap. More dangerous than poverty because of its allure, the temptations it creates, and the fascination it exerts. It is the supreme arouser of pride, selfishness, and lust. It is the strongest tie that keeps humans bound to the earth and divert their thoughts from heaven. It is, right? Money is this representation of materialism. And if we decided to give the importance that it's not supposed to, it really brings some things on us, right? As selfishness, as pride. So it is a challenge. If someone is with, or if a spirit incarnated here are in this trial of richness, it's a challenging one to make sure that that person goes through that trial and really learn and does a proper or have a proper use of those resources. It produces such giddiness that often we see that those who go from poverty to wealth soon forget their former condition, those who share with them in it and those who help them in it, and they become insensitive, selfish, and vain. So here the spirits are saying, someone maybe was not with wealth, but then suddenly there's a bunch of money, let's say, a wealth that is distributed. So chances are that person, if he's not aware and self-conscious, what that person would do will just forget everything and everyone that might have supported him or her in the journey. So it's a big test. It is a big challenge for those that have that trial. However, even though wealth does not make the journey difficult, it does not follow that it makes it impossible. Otherwise, God will be bad. Or that it cannot become a means of salvation in the hands of those who know how to use it. Just as certain poisons can restore health if used purposefully and carefully. So it is a challenge, but a challenge that serves its purpose, right? And the spirits, actually, Kardec uses a few questions in the book, in the Spirit's book, And it starts in question 8:14 and goes until 8:16. And this Kardec asks, why do some of us have wealth and power while others are poor? Isn't that a very, it's like, we're out, like, why someone is struggling so much without wealth and others don't? What do you think? Why?
To learn.
To learn. Exactly. The Spirit says in order to provide different kinds of trial. So our plan is personalized. It's when we come here, it's personalized. There's no copy and
I love
paste.
that. We're special.
We're special. Yeah. Each one of us have our own needs, need to learn whatever we need to learn. And with wealth, nothing different. Everyone needs they continue. Your trials were chosen by you before reincarnating. Don't tell. We cannot say that, oh, didn't know that. You tricked me, God. I was not expecting this. No, there's a lot of planning. There's a lot of things that happen that for us to incarnate here and to learn what we need to learn. So, and they continue, in which one, wealth or poverty, is the harder to succeed? And the Spirit says both are difficult. Or we can change the word difficult to challenging. Those require a lot of effort, a lot of work. So poverty often incites rebelliousness, or rebelar, against God. Wealth can lead to all kinds of excesses. Which makes sense, right? Because with wealth, things that we want become easier, right? It becomes easier for us to go into a different path. And another question, if the wealth person is more exposed to temptation, doesn't he or she also have more opportunities to do good? What do you think? Why? Why? Let's reflect. Why? Why someone that's wealthy have more opportunities to do good?
Because they have the means to do something for the community. They have the means to support others that don't have that. Actually, there's a book about tuberculosis that it talks about X amount of money would fully cure in the world. And why wouldn't we put the efforts onto that? Why do we keep the money for ourselves instead of doing good for the benefit of society?
Exactly. It's we can bring that concept of blood, right? There's more blood within, or there's more power of flow of blood for those who are wealthy to help the social tissue, the social organism to flow. The Spirit says that's what the wealthy people often fail to do. They become self-centered and proud, and they never seem to get enough. And as you're talking, right, Mani? It's like, I have more, and then I need more, and then I need more, and then I need more. There's never an ending to that. Their wants increase along with their fortunes. So in their eyes, the fortune is always too little. Makes sense, right? It's like, oh, I want to get X. Oh, now X is not enough. I want to have X plus Y. Oh, that's not enough. I need X, Y, Z, right? And Kardec provides a little bit of discussion. Power and social status are trials as difficult and risky as poverty. Money, power, social status, they go along in the same pattern of trials. The greater our means and power, the more obligations we have to fulfill. And the greater our opportunities to do both good and evil. The poor among us are tested for resignation. The rich on what use they make of their wealth. Wealth and power arouse all the instincts and appetites that bind us to matter and keep us distant from spiritual perfection. This is why Jesus said that it is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a wealthy man to enter the kingdom of God. So that also invites, because sometimes we have a little bit of a rebellious attitude from ourselves. For those that are in power, those that have a lot of money, and we criticize, right? Nowadays, politics and everything. So there's an invitation also for us to exercise compassion for those that have all that power, that have all that wealth, that they might be struggling. The same way, or similar, not the same way, or similar to some of the struggles that we have. So in my reflection, there is an exercise of compassion to those that are not doing what they were invited or supposed to do with wealth. Everyone has their free will. Everyone will learn one day. That's for sure. If someone did not accomplish what they need to accomplish in this life with wealth, they will have another opportunity. Because that's the only, not certainty, but the only determinism of the Spiritism doctrine. We will get there. It might take longer or it might go faster. It will depend on each one of us. And it's, again, in summary, it's all about the test, right? This is a school. We are here to learn. The same way that we have chemistry, biology, that when we went to school, we write an exam. Same way here with richness or poverty, that's a trial that we are here to learn. So, let's talk about charity. Who remembers what is the definition according to Jesus about charity? What is charity according to Jesus?
Benevolence,
Indulgence,
and forgiveness.
forgiveness. Yeah. So in the benevolence or the beneficence, so there's a very strong tie, right? Because the beneficence or benevolence, one part of it is when we give something to someone, right? So if you're giving something, food, for example, we are feeding that person. Is that where should it stop? No. What is the other way in addition to money for us to be benevolent to someone else or to give something to someone else that goes beyond money? Serve? How do we serve? What is an example of serving someone without the exchange of a material thing?
You can go to a senior home, for example, and talk to one of the elderly. Sometimes they just want to chat.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
It's a way.
Yeah. So time, and when you're listening, right? When we exercise even like patience, we understand with a smile, with a word. So that goes beyond I'm just giving an amount of cash. Because would you agree is that hard to give an amount of cash? It's pretty easy. I just go and give. But that's why I have those 4 sentences here. Beneficence relieves the suffering. Yes, that person that is hungry has been relieved. But the charity, when we listen, when we dedicate with words, with encouragement, with compassion, that can help bring solution that can help that person to continue going. That's why charity, that's Emmanuel says in this book, Money. Charity extinguishes evil. Beneficence provides assistance. And charity brings a solution. But why? Why do you think? If we say, like, it's giving an amount of cash, kind of easy. But listening, saying a word of encouragement and understanding, why? Why that goes a longer way? Why that it's a true practice of one part of charity?
About giving opportunity for that person to unload their feelings,
Mm-hmm.
to be seen. Like, I feel like if you don't have money to give, for example, but you don't need to be doing an extra shift today, maybe you have those 5 minutes to talk to a neighbor that may not have even see us all the whole week.
Mm-hmm.
It's about coexisting.
Yeah. But why that if we think about with ourselves, what is required from us to do that, to donate that time and to listen? There's something different. That's what I'm trying to. There's something different in just giving something, cash, and giving a smile.
Because you're putting some effort.
Exactly. We are putting intention. And above of everything, what we're putting? Love. Then that goes full circle. Love God above everything. And then with our minds, with our hearts, and with our souls. So it's beyond a numerical thing. It goes from our hearts. It goes from, or it originates from our souls. Make sense? I'm early. So I want to read a text because, as Emmanuel says, Jesus talked about money. It's not that Jesus avoided the conversation. That's the same way that we don't need to avoid the conversation. Money, as we learn here, is a tool, and as with any tools, needs to be used wisely. And during Jesus, when talking about money, he talks about o óvulo da viúva, or the vintém, or the penny of the widow. And I want to read a text from this book that really talks about that and how important it was for that widow to give something when she had nothing. So I did a Portuguese and English. So that's the title of this text is the penny or o vintém. É. So the great and luminous temple of life remains with doors wide open. It is the vast world. It is the earth, prodigious in blessing and gifts, displaying cities that are temples of progress, fields that are areas of light, springs that represent vessels of living water, and flowers that adorn the planet upon which our souls journey along the paths of evolution. Across this immense world, some offer to the progress and improvements of humanity the great mission of religious faith, public administration, science, and philosophy, through the intellectual splendors of culture and intelligence. Others offer to the refinement of love, the grace of the home, affectionate care, the brilliance of art, and the greatness of feelings polished through works of charity and tenderness, adding new chapters to the elevation of life. We cannot, however, forget the excellence of seemingly small contributions of those wounded, afflicted, and anonymous hearts who bring to the good of the community the simple assistance they are able to provide. So most of the time, we just think of charity as grandiose things. We need to solve world hunger. That's hard, but we can do small pieces. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fair, and we wouldn't have a chance. It is the smile of understanding and encouragement offered to an unknown companion. It is the timely word that lifts the spirits of a friend cast into discouragement. It is the hidden kindness that helps without demanding compensation. It is the blessing of fraternal cooperation that extinguishes the fire of slander. It is the fraternal gift of friendship without selfishness. It is the offering of the heart that supports without drawing attention. So these are all key examples. Do you need money to do that?
No, just willingness.
Just willingness. Exactly. Within this admirable contribution lies the precious penny of love. And if each of us were to offer just one such penny every day of our lives, we may be certain that before long we'll have gathered for our own happiness an infinite treasure in the higher spiritual life. So that's an invitation similar to the widow. The story, the parable of the widow is that she gave such a small coin, but because she had nothing, and the way that the widow decided to offer this a small portion of a small quantity that she had, and the intention that she had in doing that, that is what Jesus recommended and what Jesus kind of cherished, that was the right thing and the right way of doing charity. And if we think about, because in Spiritism we have this maxim, outside of charity there's no salvation. But sometimes we just repeat that. But the invitation is, when I'm doing something, do I know why I'm doing it? Do I know what purpose that I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to learn? And even if we go beyond, if we take St. Augustine and say, yeah, before you sleep, lay down your head and think about the things you did. Do an assessment. That's the same way. If I'm doing some sort of a charity, beneficence, or whatever I'm doing, am I understanding why I'm doing that? Am I understanding the intentions that I'm doing that? Because there are some ways, the same way that I buy this with money, I might be trying to bargain with God, right? Oh, I'll give this in exchange. It's like, oh yeah, because I'm doing this, I'm getting some credits. And I'm getting a house or a penthouse in Nosso Lar or something, or like a land, right? That's not the invitation that we are asked to do. So hopefully we can demystify money, understand that this is a resource, understand where do we place the importance of money in our lives. And if we are replacing the love of God to the love of something else. And that something else can be money, can be power, can be that, can be any other thing. And that we can really put all the resources that are our disposal, and each one of us will be able to measure what is at the disposal of each one to flow again with that, similar to that blood, so that money can flow and do something good for our society. Because we have the law of society, the law of progress, and they're all here as a mechanism for us to contribute to something good. And I have 5 minutes to spare. Any questions?
Wow. I have one actually.
Yeah.
I was thinking here, and I'm not sure if the spirits say anything about that in the book of the spirits, but I'm just wondering because can we say that actually we need to have money in this plan of trial and expiations to work on our pride and selfishness? Is there anything related to that the spirits say? Do you know, like?
We can infer, because what is the level of evolution of this planet? There are 5 worlds that the Spiritism mentioned. So we are the second one. So that is one mechanism in this world for us to exercise and learn something. Does that say that we'll need or that will carry to the other worlds?
No.
I don't, by logic, it doesn't make sense, right? And if we look as a point of view that as we will evolve, if we'll evolve those inequalities and the way that we are behaving here, because that's all coming from our ego and from our challenges. If we progress, those challenges will be solved and this world will be different. So we will need less and things will be different. I don't know how different it will be, right? But as we have less challenges to expiate or to trial, a different way of learning will appear or will emerge in the planet. But it makes sense to the level of evolution that we are here.
Yeah, because sometimes I personally think, well, if we didn't have money in this world, maybe things could be better. People could be better. Like no violence, no people stealing from each other, no wars, no whatever. But then just came to my mind, but maybe we do need money.
Why? The spirits talk about that. Why do we need money?
To learn to value what matters the most, which is not money.
There's
It's our
more.
own development.
For progress. Can you imagine?
That's true.
With no retribution, with anything, would we work?
Is the
Would
carrot.
we? Yeah. In this evolution and the level that we are,
That's true.
that is one of the requirements. Otherwise, progress, the law of progress, it will be harder, or we won't be able to progress. Because if you think what happens with like vaccinate, health, what have you, there is a driver. Like scientists, culturally, there is this driver, right? To achieve something, to make this world better. So there is this money is one of that. The material aspect of it is one of the drivers. The challenge is when we just put that is the only driver. We reverse. We don't think about the progress. I just need the reward.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you.
Sounds like what you're saying though is it's ultimately a function of because of the state that we're in as spirits. We need money because it seems to be the only thing that will get us off of our chair to do anything for anybody else. Otherwise, we'd just all be sitting there resenting each other for being next to us in a world where we can't have everything that we want.
Yeah.
But in a world where that tendency is gone, everybody will be out of their chair on their own.
Second nature.
Exactly.
Habit.
And what's the use of money in that world?
It doesn't, yeah. And maybe there, as we know, for example, in our solar, there is some, we call the bonus hora or a bonus when we do some work, right? That André Luis talks about it. So there is some sort of a connection or compensation, for the lack of a better word. But I think it's different than the way that we're motivated here in this more material world that we are living in. But to your point, When we really think what is charity, when we're doing something with love, with effort, then we reverse the logic, right? I'm not doing because I need to get money. I'm doing because that's the right way. That's a way of loving God.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
So, and I find it interesting because as Spiritists, we accept the idea that there's life on every single globe, and every single planet, and there's not even a number to count how many there are. And it just makes me wonder about what are all the other possibilities of how things could work. And actually, Sonia shared something with me very interesting that made me think about this, because she said, there used to be people on Mars before their atmosphere disappeared and everything. She's like, what Spiritism says about that, as far as what she told me, she said, that planet never ate meat. In all of their evolution, they never had to go through a period where they were taking the body of something else to satisfy another group. And it just makes me wonder if that's possible, what else is possible in terms of the full realm? And if that's true, then what world could we have here right now? If we just choose, like you said, to adopt the behaviors that we would rather live by.
Yeah. Who knows what happens in Saturn?
Yeah.
Right? As we know,
my
Saturn,
gosh,
right? It's a more evolved world. Who knows what happened? I don't know. Is there any material thing that might be driving there? Yeah. Guess we'll as we evolve, we'll find it out. Yeah. But we can start doing our part now and giving the right relevance and the right direction of what we know and what we have. Good. Thank you all. Yeah, a reminder again, Festa Junina, June 27th, at St. Andrews Heights Community Center at 3 p.m. Please.
If you wanna RSVP, guys,
Yeah.
talk to me, please.
Our spirits book study on Wednesdays. This Wednesday we'll be talking about these exact questions, starting on 814. So Sonia will walk us through those questions.
Thank you.
It's just a spoiler today.
Please.
Good. So let us pray. So let's raise our thoughts, our minds, our emotions, our sentiments to God again, to Jesus our Master, to our guardian angels and our spiritual team, and be thankful again for this opportunity that we are here this morning, exchanging some reflections, exchanging the learnings, in specific in this component of our current level of evolution, which is the material things. Let us remind ourselves of the guidance from Spiritism on how we flow all our resources beyond only material resources to doing the good, to loving, and to fulfilling the divine laws, to love God and understand with our minds, with our hearts, and with our souls, practicing what we learn according to each one's possibility and doing the exercises of the virtues. Let's pray that we have a blessed rest of our Sunday and a blessed and light and full of love and opportunities of learning of our week. So blessed.